Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into Reddit to find some of the funniest and most creative ways people were punished as kids. We'll look at a number of different stories created by real Reddit users before AI was readily available. And of course, I saved my favorite post for last. If this is the type of content that excites you, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and/or share this video so that your inner circle can enjoy it too. What's the funniest / most creative way you were ever punished as a kid? To this day, this is one of my all-time favorite stories. When I was 6 or 7 years old, I had been taking my own showers for about a year. One night, after bathing, I found out I could reach the shower curtain rod and that it made a great monkey bar. So I started swinging on it, and I had no idea that it was not mounted into the wall and was only held on by its own pressure. It was spring-loaded, you know what I mean? So all of a sudden, this thing obviously came tumbling down as I was swinging on it. My already suspicious mother, due to how long I was there for, heard the crash and came up to see what in the hell was wrong. She came in to see me lying on the floor naked with nothing but a wet curtain over me and the shower rod in the tub. She knew exactly what was happening, and if I wasn't under the curtain, I would have seen the light bulb go off in her head right before she said, "Fix it. Finish toweling off, and then go see your father." I was terrified. I went down to the basement where my dad was working on his mountain bike, and he said, "Now, Nicholas," my first name, "I'm not mad, but I just want to tell you a story." A wave of confused relief came over me. I had no idea what the hell was going on. Here's the story he told. There was a monkey who loved to swing in a big tree in the jungle. It was a beautiful tree. However, there was a problem. The tree was also the favorite resting place of a ferocious lion. One day, the lion got angry with the monkey because he began to make too much noise. The lion scared the monkey out of the tree and said never to come back with a big, loud roar. The monkey did not learn, however, and he came back the next day. The lion was dumbfounded, but impressed by the monkey's bravery, so instead of killing him, he gave him an option. He asked the monkey, "Okay, I gave you a warning, but I have to respect your courage. I can either bite your tail off or your head off." After thinking about it, the monkey replied, "Definitely bite my head off." The lion was confused and said, "Okay, but I have to ask why. You could live a normal life without a tail." And the monkey said, "Yeah, but if you bite off my tail, I'll look like that ugly human child Nicholas." Jaw dropped. Edit. After telling my sister about how I posted this, she reminded me of two more family classics. 1. My sister used to hate spaghetti, so she would only eat enough to please my parents, and she would hold up her bowl to show my parents and seek their approval. One time, my mom was in the middle of telling a story and was ignoring my sister's question. She kept holding the bowl higher and higher, and it fell on her head. My dad brought her up to the bathroom to wash her off. She must have been too confident that she wasn't exactly being punished, and she began sticking her tongue out at my dad. My dad told her to stop, and when she didn't, he waited for her to do it again and rubbed the soap on her tongue. She didn't know what to do because she didn't want to put her tongue back in her mouth. 2. My other sister had a habit of stomping up the stairs, and my mom was sick of it. She made her stomp up and down the stairs until she couldn't walk anymore. Her legs were so sore that she could hardly move the next day. I was always terrible at doing chores, especially the dishes. One day, My mom went out and bought one of everything, all in blue. One blue plate, one blue fork, and so on, and told me that was all I was allowed to use and no one else would wash them. There were nights I would be sitting at the table eating spaghetti out of a mug with just a knife. To this day, I'm not sure who really won that one. My father would tell me that he built me from spare parts in the basement and that his earlier failed attempts lived in the attic, and that if I misbehaved, he could easily send me to live with them and just build a new me. The imagery was horrifying, and it also kept me from exploring the parts of the house he didn't want me in. When I was 6, the child psychologist said that I needed boundaries and suggested that my parents punish me by making me stand on a kitchen towel in the middle of the room, kind of like standing in the corner, but where I could see all the things I couldn't participate in. Well and good, until my 2-year-old sister decided that it looked like fun. She got a towel of her own, carefully laid it out next to mine, and stood next to me. Punishments are less effective when the parents can't help but laugh. My mom would threaten to sell me to the Russians if I misbehaved. I didn't even know what Russians were, but I was terrified of them. My mom told me that the garbage truck would come to collect me. I was hiding whenever I saw that truck, and of course I would warn all my friends. I would love to see that driver's face when he saw a bunch of kids screaming and running away every time he drove down the street. I think I was 15, definitely in high school, and got caught cutting classes. For the next week, my dad, who was older and had retired the year before when he was 59, went to school with me. He drove me to school and then attended every class with me. He also ate lunch with me and my friends. Oh, did I mention that he wore his pajamas? He did. He didn't shave all week either. By the time Friday rolled around, he looked like a crazy-ass homeless person. I never cut class again. I sure do miss him. I was an absolute bookworm when I was a kid. Being sent to my room did nothing, as I'd spend most of my day curled up in there reading anyway. So my parents used to padlock my bookshelf and force me to go outside for punishment. My dad desperately wanted me to be an attorney, so starting at something like 6, my dad would occasionally give me a set of options when I got caught doing something wrong. The first option was to attempt to plea bargain, i.e., accept responsibility, but describe why I thought leniency should be applied. The second option was to plead my case, in which he would give me a set amount of time to try and find a loophole or prepare an argument, find witnesses, whatever, to show why I should not be punished at all, and then present my case to him with the understanding that I would be punished more severely if I wasted his time. When I was probably 6, I was being a little shit all day. When taking away privileges and a quick spanking didn't work to put down my defiance, my mom started packing a bunch of my toys into a suitcase. When I asked what she was doing, she told me that if I couldn't behave, I'd have to go live with the bears. This may have sounded awesome to some kids, but not to me. I lived in Alaska, where they were around occasionally and fucking terrifying. She then bundled me up, handed me the suitcase and a couple snacks and juice boxes, led me out to the porch, and told me to start walking. She then turned her back and went inside. While I was terrified, I was still defiant. I just knew she was going to change her mind and apologize for being horrible to me. I must have spent an hour walking back and forth past the house, figuring she'd regret it. I thought she'd see me just casually walking by and be so thankful that I just happened to be by the house after such a long time. Needless to say, I ran back sobbing and begging to be let back in, which she graciously allowed, having watched me from the house the entire time, probably chuckling. It was a weird moment for me because my mom is the kind of person you'd never expect that from. I hadn't thought of that one in years. I got caught skipping school when I was 14. My dad told me that he was taking me out of school the next week. Every day that week, he would drop me off at a local business. He knew all of these people and told them, "Here's your free helper. He doesn't want to go to school, so he gets to work." They would work me, doing the worst shit ever, for 8 hard hours every day. 1 week of that, and I was begging to go back to school. Not sure if it's a punishment, but when I was a kid, my parents told me that the ice cream truck was the fish truck, so that I wouldn't chase after it and beg for ice cream like all of the other kids when I heard the music playing in the neighborhood. I didn't understand why any kid would willingly beg for fish until I was about 12 and realized my parents had been lying to me after I witnessed a friend's transaction for ice cream. I had to write reports based on whatever I did wrong. Once I got caught in a lie, and I had to write a report about 5 famous liars. Once I refused to take a bath, and I had to write a report about germs. This was before the internet. We had a set of encyclopedias, and that was it. It was surprisingly effective. When I was a kid, my sister got detention for shooting rubber bands at kids in the lunchroom. When the principal called my mom, she instinctively asked, "Well, did she hit anybody?" To which the principal quickly replied that it was not relevant. Later on that night, however, my dad set up a target in the kitchen on the fridge, and my sister's punishment was that she had to spend an hour a night shooting rubber bands at that target. He explained to her that if she was going to get in trouble for something, she better at least be good at it. My sister walks into my room one day. She was probably 15 or so. I was 11-ish. Closes the door and asks me if I jerk off. I said yes, and she asked why. I just said, "I don't know, it's fun." She left, and my mom called us into her room and asked what we were talking about, because she saw the door closed and heard, "because it's fun." I assumed she thought we were talking about drugs, so we assured her it wasn't that, but we weren't going to tell her what we were talking about. She started to get pissed and told us, "There are no secrets in the house. We're both grounded. Tell her this instant, blah, blah." So we tell her no, but we'll tell my dad when he gets home from work, my dad being much more mellow than my mom. So me and my sister waited downstairs for my dad to get home and told him what happened. My dad just laughs at me and says, "So you spanked the monkey, huh?" It was really awkward. I think I stopped jerking off for at least a month. Picked my nose as a kid. Mom told me that my snot was actually my brain cells and that I was slowly destroying my brain. Terrified. I ate a Vegemite sandwich just moments before dinner, after my mom had already told me not to. She made me eat the whole jar or Vegemite as my dinner for punishment. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Vegemite, but anyone who's accidentally spread the teeniest bit too much on their toast will know why it was the worst punishment ever. One Christmas Eve, I played sick while the family went to midnight mass. As soon as they left, I unwrapped all my presents and wrapped them back up very carefully. My mom didn't say a word when she came home and looked at the tree. The next morning, my favorite gift was nowhere to be seen, and my sister got a bunch of my clothes. I couldn't say anything. The next year, having decided I would just be more careful, I started unwrapping again each time one was under the tree. They contained dead flowers and rocks taped to the box. Again, I couldn't even say anything. Mom told me years later she always knew when I was at it, as I would stomp around the house and glare at everyone all day. My brother and I fought a lot. After one bad fight, which we were both probably equally responsible for, my dad was trying to find out what went down, but we both insisted that the other one provoked us while we were busy promoting world peace. My dad tells us to write down what happened, but we have to do it together and are not allowed to do anything else until we present him with a story we both could agree on. My brother and I decided to make a cartoon, and we ended up having a blast for the rest of the evening. I was standing in line at a major supermarket, and in front of me was a woman and a small girl, about 4. And in front of them was a young mother with a small boy, about 3. The little boy asked his mother for a candy bar and was told no. The little boy then asked for a candy bar again, and he was told no again. So at this point, he decided to have a temper tantrum. He threw himself on the ground, cried, screamed, called his mother a stupid head, amongst all of the classic tantrum behavior. So his mother then whispered to the mother standing behind her, and they smiled, all while this little boy was hysterical about being denied a candy bar. His mother then took a candy bar from the shelf and put it in her cart. The boy was happy upon witnessing this, and his tantrum stopped. The mother and son then went through the checkout and paid. The mother then turned around and handed the candy bar to the little girl behind her in line. She looked directly at her son and said, "Children who behave are rewarded, and children who throw tantrums and embarrass their mothers get nothing." She turned around on her heels and walked away from the boy, who was left silent with his jaw laying on the floor. A bunch of us broke out in applause. It was brilliant. Thank you for joining us at Taylor's Place for today's compilation of funny Reddit posts. For more content like this, support the channel by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing your favorite content from this channel with your loved ones.